Tomato season is here, so today we're going to show you how to make the perfect tomato sauce. We have Michael Tesoro. He's the owner and the chef at Uma Tesoro's marinara sauce. And you brought along your daughter Francesca with you. Hello.
She's a big help.
I would think so, because it's a whole lot of work. But you were saying that the sauce that we're making today, it's a quick, easy sauce.
It's a really easy sauce, made very quickly with fresh ingredients from local farms and farmers markets, or your own garden. Zucchini, summer squash, eggplant, onions, garlic.
And you were saying earlier, this is one of those sauces that we could kind of take, add and subtract, add anything that we want to it. Our preferences are at play today.
My grandmother called this sauce shui shui, which is a dialect word that means hurry, hurry.
North Italy,
quick.
right?
In southern Italy, near
southern Italy.
Naples.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, around Naples.
So it's the quick sauce, so everybody at home can make it.
You can make it in 15, 20 minutes.
Wow,
it's a
very
quick,
cool.
easy meal with great, fresh ingredients right from your garden.
So where do we start?
Well, number one tip is when you're doing garlic, and we use whole clove garlic only, right? Mm-hmm. You want to make sure that the garlic goes into oil, extra virgin olive oil, and we're using about 1/4 cup, but it's going into a hot pan, hot oil.
Now, but you were saying conversely, when you do your onions, when you're sauteing them, you want to saute it in colder oil.
Exactly right. So with the onions, and these are Vidalia onions from New York State, actually, that I got. They're from Goshen, New York.
Oh, cool.
And these onions do like to be cooked at a fairly high temperature in extra virgin olive oil, but
you start them.
You start them in cold oil.
Now, is that
the
because
garlic.
you want it to sop up a little bit of the oil before it cooks?
Well, it's like an old wives' tale, basically.
You just do it because Grandma told you to.
Grandma said, you know, you want to try to start. It preserves the flavor.
Interesting. Okay.
That's what she told me.
Sounds good to me. That's the thing. For most of these things, if Grandma says it, I'm buying it.
Exactly.
And now next up, so we saute these separately.
Separately in 2 separate pans.
Okay.
And you want to make sure that the onions get nice and golden brown.
Before you put anything else in.
Before you put anything else in, you keep it moving. Mm-hmm. And on the garlic, you're looking for the garlic to become nice and golden brown, not burned. You don't want the hot. You don't want the oil too hot.
And you can't get that burn taste out of anything.
You cannot.
Once it's burned, you might as well make more garlic.
Absolutely. So you want it a nice golden brown, a nice toasted color. That brings out the flavor of the garlic. And in particular, for this dish, I actually remove the garlic. So what we're going to be doing here is just infusing the olive oil with garlic.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And conversely, we're going to be keeping the onions in there after they've turned a nice brown color.
So this will be our main pot. Now, once the onions brown, is that when we start putting in the rest of our vegetables?
Exactly. And so, you know, what's really important is the selection of your vegetables. And, you know, take a look at what you're picking and what you're using. You want the squashes to be firm, but not squishy, not mushy.
So when you're going at the grocery store, the farmer's market, you want to be feeling...
You want to be feeling your vegetables. You want to be able to, you know, tell whether or not this is something that I'm really going to want to eat.
And then we chop them up.
Yeah.
In a uniform size, right?
In a uniform size. I personally, and this is the way Oma taught me, is you go lengthwise down the sides, and you're creating, rather than cubing your zucchini, you're actually creating what are like little pieces of pie.
Okay.
And what that does is this gets the zucchini cooked nice and thoroughly, and it absorbs the flavor of the onions and garlic, but leaves a little bit of a crunch.
And every bite has that uniform crunch if you do it this way.
It does. And it has that nice bite to it.
Great tip. So we put those in next, so these two go in. So we have pretty much the onions and the vegetables together.
Right.
And now, we don't use this garlic that you were sauteing up. This is just for the oil.
So we're going to pick it out. We're just infusing the garlic, infusing the oil with the garlic.
I was going to say, you're killing me, because I would eat those almost right out of the pan, piping hot.
Right. Well, in this particular case, I go overboard, and I'm using at least a whole bulb of garlic.
Okay, so yeah, if you were to put it all in there, a little too
It'd
garlicky.
be a little too heavy. But what I want to do is I want to infuse the garlic, and that way, you know, you're not biting into a giant piece of garlic.
Exactly. So maybe we can let that saute for a few, and then I think what everybody's getting interested about is the tomatoes of the tomato sauce. How do you make that work? Because you don't want to use the can or the jar.
Absolutely. So, you know, right now what's in season are these beautiful cherry tomatoes.
Yeah, the smaller tomatoes.
The really tiny tomato. One of the things you want to do is for sure is to pull off the green tops.
Okay.
You know, and discard those.
And now I see over there you have them. Is it halved?
Yeah.
Half
so
them each? Okay.
You know, look out there, Seth. This might be
That's
messy.
okay. I wore a red-colored shirt today for this very purpose.
Usually when I'm making Uma Tesoro sauce, I'm covered in
It
tomatoes.
probably looks like a scary horror movie.
People ask me whether or not any tomatoes actually go into the pot or not. So
So
yeah,
we have these.
I half them. There's also a Campari tomato that's a little bit larger than this, and I would suggest quartering them.
Okay.
Yep. And then these get thrown into the infused garlic oil.
I get it. And then we saute in there.
And you saute them in the garlic oil, and eventually they become looking like this.
Amazing. This looks and next, a little bit later in the show, we're going to bring it all together.
Exactly.
And sample the delicious dish. So don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to do that. We're going to make the pasta sauce. And also, he has some tips for actually boiling pasta. Stuff that's going to blow your mind, guaranteed. So don't go anywhere.
Right.
That's what we're going to be doing tomorrow, but for now, we're making some pasta sauce. We're finishing with Michael Tesoro. He's the owner and the chef at Uma Tesoro's. We've been making marinara sauce all show long, but it's not traditional. It's a speedy one. What's it called again?
Shui shui.
Shui shui sauce.
Shui shui.
Yep,
Now,
hurry, hurry.
you have your sidekick here with you today, your
I
daughter,
do.
Francesca. You having
Yeah.
fun?
Yeah.
Having a
dude.
good time? I mean, how could you not be, right? What a cool dad you have. All right, so can you recap what's going on here?
Yeah, so everybody thinks they know how to cook pasta, and
I don't really know how to cook a good pasta.
there
so.
are a couple tips my grandmother taught me that are really instrumental. One is don't starve your pasta of water. Make sure there's a big enough pot with a lot of water. You don't want to see pasta just bubbling in a pot. You want it covered by at least an inch or two. You also want to add about 3 to 4 tablespoons of water.
That's
Of salt.
markedly
Of salt
more than I put
to
in.
the water to make it as salty as the sea. Now that will not make your pasta salty. It will just cook it more thoroughly.
So the salt remains in the water, doesn't stick onto your pasta.
It creates a higher boiling temperature, so you cook your pasta quicker.
Interesting.
And
Okay.
it doesn't
Not a
make it
pinch.
mushy.
You need a lot of salt.
That's a pinch if you're a giant.
And so once you get a rapid boil, you toss your pasta in and you stir it maybe just once or twice to free it up from each other. But don't overstir your pasta. If you stir your pasta all the time, it's just going to be mush.
Gotcha.
You want it al dente.
Yes, no mush for me. All right, so then this is the garlic-infused olive oil over here with the tomatoes.
Right, and we're going to combine it with the onions and the summer squash and zucchini and sweet onions that we did over here.
Now, if people aren't a fan of the zucchini or the summer squash, you can substitute it for whatever you love in the garden.
That's right. I mean, I also brought a little eggplant, some green peppers, red peppers, yellow peppers. You want this to combine. Just, again, this is a quick meal. This is when, you know, you've got a lot going on. You're at baseball games. You're taking the kids all over the place, and everybody's hungry, but you've got some great things that you picked up at the farmer's market on your way home or out of your own garden. And it's a delicious summer pasta meal.
Yeah, it's filling looking too. It looks like you don't even need meat. You can get away with this, just the sauce and the pasta.
Yeah, this is all vegetarian.
Very cool.
Nice
so
and
now,
hearty.
here's my question. Do you put the pasta on the plate and then add the sauce, or do you put them all together?
Good question.
Yeah?
Because a lot of people, you'll see like in certain restaurants, a glob of pasta in a bowl with a clump of sauce on the top.
take it you don't love it.
That never happened in my family
It
anyway.
stresses me out, too. Then I have to mix it. I don't want to have to mix it.
Yeah.
Mix it for me. Then I get sauce in every bite.
Exactly.
Too much work when I'm out.
What you want to do is you want the sauce to be bubbling and hot, not too out of control.
Like this is.
Just like this.
Like a good
and then
simmer. Get
you
it.
want to add your pasta directly to your sauce.
Okay.
What do you think, Francesca? Does it look good?
Yeah, I think so.
And then stir rapidly over high heat for about 1 minute until you combine all of this pasta with the sauce. And always
yeah.
the sauce is the key component, and ultimately what you want to have covering the entire, all the pasta itself.
Now, if people are at the grocery store and they're shopping for a tomato, is there a specific tomato blend that lends itself better to a sauce?
I like cherry tomatoes. I think they have a nice sweet taste. Many people use Roma tomatoes. They are quite acidic. And so when you're making a quick sauce like this that's not slowly simmered, you want to go with a nice sweet tomato.
So you find what you love.
Try one first. You know, I would highly recommend that you try it. Try it at the market before you buy.
While you're getting that situated, I want to thank our friends at Droscher Flores. Check out these flowers this week. Whew.
Oh,
That
they're
is
so
pretty.
beautiful.
Isn't
and
that
they have
something?
embellishments in there. There's some sparkly gems in there. Thank you, Droscher. They're always just beautiful.
about as beautiful as this pasta, I would say. Now to garnish a little bit of parsley.
Absolutely.
All right.
You can even
Ideally, we'd probably cut it.
you give a quick cut to it, but either way, it's going to taste good. And a
little
little
bit of cheese?
Parmigiano Reggiano.
Ooh.
I would highly recommend the added expense if you can afford it. You need less cheese, but it makes the dish
Get the good
complete.
cheese. And speaking of parsley, tomorrow on
Beautiful.
Massive